Hello, 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 and welcome back to the WorkHARDAholic Show. I am Shirley Crawford, your host, and today, okay, here's the deal. I don't know about the rest of you all, but current days have me a bit stressed. There's a lot going on. Every day there's a new executive order, there's a new response, there are new policies, there are new procedures. They are increasing inflationary rates when it comes to, buying a carton of eggs stresses me out.
Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better.
But I'm here in Virginia and I found a farmer. I'm just saying the types of things that we have to do right now just to be able to continue existence, let alone acknowledging the fact that depending on your business, more than likely you're going to be inflected by tariffs, right? Or the fact that we're having shifting relationships with other countries. The fact that there are some countries like, they're only purchased from a blue state. Whatever your political standing, the point is that there are lots of things happening that we all have to adjust to. And so I find it my personal mission to make sure that we're at least connecting you in with some of the information that you need to know in order to be successful, to keep your head above water, and to keep sane. All right. So with that in mind, we reported previously about BOI, so that business owner information that was being requested by the federal government. And at this point, the deadline has passed. And so you were supposed to submit information about your organization. If you had any business entity, except for any that were monitored, if you were into financial or investments, those things have a different level of regulation. And so they were not included in the BOI request because they're already having to give all their information, everything except for their blood type. So they weren't a part of the conversation for BOI. And so it kept going back and forth. We had a case in Texas, another in California. There were cases all over the place. And people were protesting, saying this was basically an invasion of privacy, that there was no reason that the federal government needed to know the name of every owner in your company, all right, or every major owner. And so they pushed back. It kept going back and forth. And I told you all last year, that I thought for sure if this lasted through President Trump coming into office, that it would go away. Because the Trump administration, they are very much against any type of regulation or oversight. Now, in some ways, that's highly questionable. But for this, as a business owner, it's highly beneficial. Because in all honesty, to me, it seemed very odd that there was a need for the federal government to know if I have a partner, who they are, and their contact information, and potentially their social security number, and all of this stuff to identify each of the people. In the end, I understood the point was still in our fight against terrorism. I understood that. I understood that even as the election was a great time for us to realize that dollars and technology activity were happening from other countries that wanted to influence how we did what we do in our country. I understand. 9/11 is still something I remember to this day, exactly where I was and what I was doing and how it stopped my life. I fully appreciate that we have security issues and concerns, and we want to make sure that all is well. But this was a really blanket approach to a very narrow problem. The fact that we're going to just make sure that everybody does it, it was just unnecessary. And so apparently, it's finally over. It's done. If you filed the BOI, bless you. They have your information. If you didn't, hey, bless you. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just fine. So they decided it was unconstitutional, as previously mentioned. And so the BOI, if you hear this, you hear it and know, you do not have to file. It went through all kinds of levels of litigation. It went all the way up as far as you can go, as far as the court system is concerned. And it is finally dismantled. So for those of you who paid your fees, I understand. But to me, this was really a statement about what type of business owner you are. If you are someone who is very meticulous and takes care of all your details and crosses your T's and dots your I's, you're probably one of the people who filed the moment that this conversation started. And then if you're more lackadaisical, I don't want to say just lack, but you're a little more relaxed about certain things. And I was in this category. You probably waited to see what was going to happen. And so for my philosophy, my thought process was every time they changed the date, you still knew when it was your drop dead time to do it. So if for the business owner out there right now who hasn't filed your taxes yet, even though it's only 2 weeks away, and you're going, as long as it's in by the 15th, all is well, or whatever, if you are on a calendar year, not a fiscal year, all right? But these are good things for you to recognize about who you are as a business owner, because it was a good time to test that. Are you the meticulous one? Are you the one who everything is in place? Or are you the one who's like, it'll be okay? Whichever one you are, I need you to know that this impacts how you run your business, and you should be aware of that, right? So I am slowly coming to realize some of my deficits in business. And so I'm trying to surround myself with the people who will make up the difference of where, and it's not, can you do it? Sometimes you just don't want to do it. Sometimes for you, we get passive aggressive. That's normally how we show that we don't want to do something that we've said we will do or we know we should do. So as the business owner, it's really important for you to make sure that if you're the meticulous one, that you're the one who's responsible for the books, the calendar, the schedule, like all of the things, the paperwork, the filing with the SEC that has to happen every year. There are certain things that they have to happen no matter what. And if you're the meticulous one, if you're the one who files your BOI week 1, then you're the one who should be responsible for all those things. For the rest of us, make sure you find that meticulous one. All right. I wanted to share that with you all. So once again, no BOI. No, say it with me. No BOI. And hopefully you were aware of that. All righty then. Making sure you have the information and news you need to be successful in your business and, not have any problems with the federal government. All right, so we'll be back to talk more. We have several things we want to talk about, including a design, like what's going to happen with the Department of Education, what's going to happen with student loans. We'll be back and talk a little bit about that right after this commercial break.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Listen, Attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
At Richmond Dentistry for Children, Dr. Randy Adams and Dr. Brandon Allen are crazy about your kids and their teeth.
With compassionate care, our professional staff treats your kids like they were our own.
Call us today to make an appointment at 804-780-2888 or check us out on the web at richmonddentistryforchildren.com. Let Richmond Dentistry for Children take care of your kids' teeth today for a healthy tomorrow.
Looking for resources to start, build, or level up your business? Want to know what motivates your favorite entrepreneur? Did you miss the last show? No worries. Check out and subscribe to the WorkHARDAholic YouTube channel. See behind the scenes. Hear the extended version of interviews. Catch one of our trainings. Miss the show? No worries. Like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel at WorkHARDaholic, and happy entrepreneuring.
Welcome back. Okay, so I feel the need to just continually recognize that it's okay if you're feeling a little stressed right now. It's okay. The important thing to know for your mental health, especially as a small business owner, is that it's going to be okay. Because no matter what happens, you can bounce back. So I was having a conversation with a few business owners, there were a couple people who wanted to go into business, but they were kind of nervous about the whole thing. And the thing that I said to them is the same thing that I always say, and it's fail fast. All right. Do y'all know what that term means? It just means that try it quickly, immediately, and let it break. And then when it breaks, you can figure out, do you want to keep going that way? You can figure out where it needs to be repaired, but you want to do it quickly. You don't want to drag it out for 6 months, a year, and then you're like, oh my God, this is a terrible product. Why am I offering this service? And you've wasted a year of your life, as opposed to flooding the market in the first 2 weeks and finding out, hey, there's a market or there's not a market, and moving on. And so what we have to know, especially as entrepreneurs, is that risk is a part of the situation. There's no if, ands, or but. There is always risk, especially if you're establishing a business with employees. Can you imagine the pressure that it feels when you have to pay someone else's salary and you know that their little daughter, Jane, and their son, Jimmy, are all at home, an expectation of not only, food and shelter, but they want to go to Disney. They want to do things. And to know that you are responsible for making sure that all of those employees are taken care of in the way that they need to be, it's a lot. All right. So it's my mental health break to say, breathe. It's okay. All right. On that note, I want to share with you all about some other activities that are going on. All right. So I want to give you a positive one because they're far and few between. Right. So as we all know, there were all the wildfires that happened in California. Right. And so, but here's the thing. There is just a change in our weather. And it's so interesting that we talk about global warming not existing, but we're having that conversation repeatedly because I'm in Virginia, right? I never knew that there was a fault line in Virginia until 10, 15 years ago when we had our first that I have ever experienced earthquake. And now, maybe a couple of weeks ago, we were actually having wildfires. We were having fire. And this is not, California, all your trees, this is not California. But we had the same situation. So there was fires and it was dry and they were concerned that it's going to pop from one area to another. I have never heard of such in this area, right? So things were changing, things are adjusting. But the thing that I thought was beautiful in these situations, especially when we talk about California, is that a lot of people talk good game, right? They're like, I'm the volunteer of the year and I do this and I support that. But a lot of them are doing it because their job pays for them to go do community service. Their hearts aren't necessarily in it. And so there are other people we talk about because they spend so much money and they live these lavish lives. And quite often we judge them. But I'm here to tell you that one of those ones that I know you've judged before is one of the main contributors with her nonprofit organization. I didn't even know she had a foundation. Did you know? Did you know that Paris Hilton had a foundation? I had never heard of such. So it's 11 to 11, 11, right? Media Impact is the name of her nonprofit. And so she went in to support 50. It was supposed to be 13. 13 women-owned businesses is what they were supposed to support and help. But they were so flooded by how many people were assisting or in need of assistance that 11 Media Impact partnered with GoFundMe and created this grant fund, a recovery grant for 50 women-owned businesses that were impacted by the Eaton fire, right? And so as they looked at the area, there are over 1,800 businesses that were impacted in the fire, but they were at least able to help 50 of them. Now, the Los Angeles County Economic Development, they've also offered grants. So they're trying to assist, but a lot of people are saying it just isn't enough. It just isn't enough to really get them on their feet. So there's a question about some of these businesses being able to reopen or if this was the end of their legacy. And so I thought it was super exciting because not only did they give them money, they gave them they helped with. The recipients varied with childcare centers, bakeries, bookshops, studios, salons. It was a very wide range of individuals. And here's the thing that I really thought about. I have heard so many people talk bad about Paris Hilton, right? Because I don't want to repeat the things I've heard because that's just unnecessary. But here it is that I'm not hearing all these people stepping up in the same way. So I think it's really important as we look around at the others around us that we hold off on the judgment because the truth will unveil itself. And even beyond that, the need to judge, if it is the concern for you that you say it is, then what are you doing? To me, that's really the bottom line. Now, you don't have to have a nonprofit. You can go out, you can volunteer, you can help, you can assist. Especially now with all the things that are happening, there are lots of cultural conversations about like where we spend our money and what we do. Okay, well, if that's you, then who are you supporting with your dollars? How are you being of assistance? Or are you just a little bratty bully kid in the back of the room pointing fingers and talking about others? So for all of you people who talk bad about Paris Hilton, I have never thought about her one way or the other. But now I'm going, kudos, Paris. Job well done. And hopefully we'll all follow in your footsteps. Okay, so we're going to take another commercial break. But when we come back, I want to talk about the SBA, the Small Business Administration, that affects every small business owner, and they're doing a lot. So we'll talk about that in just a moment.
At Richmond Dentistry for Children, Dr. Randy Adams and Dr. Brandon Allen are crazy about your kids and their teeth.
With compassionate care, our professional staff treats your kids like they were our own.
Call us today to make an appointment at 804-780-2888 or check us out on the web at richmonddentistryforchildren.com. Let Richmond Dentistry for Children take care of your kids' teeth today for a healthy tomorrow.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Shirley Crawford, the WorkHARDAholic and your favorite small business consulting, bringing to you the Entrepreneur Exchange. There are 3 levels to this. On the first level, you receive a weekly Q&A session and a monthly seminar, all for just $29 a month. Our Plus level receives that. In addition to that, it receives our library. It's called the Vault. Videos, resources, information that you can utilize for your business. And then for our VIP, you get all of that, and you also get small group coaching. And that's for $199 a month. So that's $29, $59, $199 a month, and it can all be yours. If you're interested and you're ready to make the next move to make the real difference in your life, just email me, Shirley at WorkHARDAholics.com.
Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
Hello, hello again. All righty then. I want to say we appreciate you all listening to the show. And for those of you who've heard the conversion over YouTube, we appreciate you watching the show. And I want to make mention that we're bringing back our Q&A. So if you have a small business question regarding anything running the business, starting a business, leadership, management, send them on in. You can send them to good question. You can send, we're updating our website. So in case you didn't know, we're updating our website, but you can send it to admin at WorkHARDAholics.com. That's admin at WorkHARDAholics.com. All right. We'll be looking forward to receiving your questions, and it'll be our pleasure to answer them during the show. All right. So what I want to share with you now is about the SBA, the Small Business Administration. We all know there's been a lot of changes with regards to departments, agencies being stripped or cut down. And so it's supposed to be a part of making things more efficient and making sure that we're getting the service that we need and desire. If that's going to work out, we'll see. We will soon see if that's effective or not. But one of the changes that are being considered, so we already know that the Department of Education is being considered for ways to streamline, all right? And so part of that is a conversation about, well, what happens with student loans? The first thing to know is the Department of Education, although it's a federal agency, education is actually in the schools of every state, not the Department of Education. So how your schools are going to be run is really by your state as far as your school boards and your local administration. So that is not affected by DOE. DOE does more about research, sharing, trends, things that you might want to know. The main thing that we focus on when it comes to the Department of Education is, of course, student loans. All right. Student loans for many is the only way that they're going to go to school. And so many people have student loan debt, student loan balances. We know in previous administrations, they actually talked about eliminating student loan debt, which I was curious to see how that was going to work out, but haven't had to address that yet. At present, the conversation is what happens with the, I forget how many millions of people who have student loans, what would happen to that if it is stripped away from the Department of Education. And so the word is out. The word is out that the desire of our current administration is to potentially place student loans under the SBA. I'm not sure exactly what the connection is. I don't know if the thought process is because SBA already manages loans. They don't really manage loans. They give backing to individuals who have gone through a certain amount of criteria and met with an SBA lender, possibly applied for a loan already and got rejected. Then the SBA will be your guarantor, but they don't actually sit there with a pot of money and manage that. So maybe that's not what it is either. I'm not sure of the logic behind it. And at present, the Republican Party in general is responding with question marks as well, because they're not very confident that that's the best decision. But the bottom line is that's what's being discussed. And if history is an example, discussions quickly turn to action. So we'll soon see exactly what's going to happen with that. And so on the other side of that, the conversation about the SBA, they are super popular right now. Another thing that's happening is that any SBA that is located in a sanctuary city, I don't know why that wouldn't come to me. Any SBA that's located in a sanctuary city, they are relocating. And so for me, it's just really interesting to see how politics plays into areas where I don't know that it necessarily connects. So the SBA is the SBA. So I'm not sure why the desire to move them out. So Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Denver, New York, and Seattle, their SBAs are being relocated. I am hoping they're still going to be within the state and they're just moving to some other part of the state. Not sure. So that is part of what's happening there. And once again, to me, it's just interesting to watch the chess pieces move and to see how it all plays together. And so for me right now, I'm just keeping my eye on things. I'm watching, I'm waiting. And I'm just making sure I'm educated and informed. And I want you to be educated and informed so that you're not caught off guard. Right? So outside of them moving them, they also have fired almost 3,000 employees, not quite, 2,700. And compared to some other agencies, that's actually a rather small number. A lot of agencies have lost like half of their staff during these times. So the fact that they lost 2,700, which is horrible for each person whose job has been lost, just comparatively speaking, percentage-wise, it's not as worse as others. And so they say it's for them to be more streamlined. And when they talk about the cities that they moved from, I want to make sure I quote it correctly. So the statement basically was they're moving them to other locations that are more in alignment, less costly, more accessible locations, and more in alignment with current laws, etc. I had the whole statement for you. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Less costly, more accessible locations that better serve the small business community and comply with federal immigration law. So that's what's happening there. So here's my question to you all. As you see the news, so before I ask the question, I'll clarify for you. When it comes to like how you gather the news, how you gather information, I have to tell you that I am not a person for the local news. I'm not really for American news at all. In general, if I really want a well-rounded like reporting, then I try to look at someone who has a lens that isn't involved, right? And so for my news in general, I get the notifications that they tell me these are the topics, things that are happening, and then I can choose which one I want to take in or not. I used to be a big BBC fan. Sometimes now, but so here's the thing. As the world is changing, the world's lens on the United States is changing. So now, even though when they're reporting, you can sometimes hear that tone in there, like, United States is doing this, and they're reporting the information. So it's not as unbiased as it once was. But still, I try to keep it out there. There are lots of podcasts I think do an amazing job with news, and I try to follow. But you have to know that who's ever reporting the news has their own idea about the news they're sharing with you. The days of it being unbiased are over. So the question that I have for you all is, how are you staying informed, and what are you doing with the information that you're getting? One of my biggest concerns has always been apathy. So you don't have to be passionate about everything, but if you know it impacts you and impacts the people around you, then what are you doing, right? You going to run for city council? What are you going to do? So that's really my final statement for you all today. I just want to make sure that you're engaged. I want to make sure that you vote. And that's not saying who you vote for. I want to make sure that you are part of the solution. Otherwise, you're part of the problem. So just want to share that with you all. Once again, if you have any questions or things that you'd like answered regarding your business or leadership, drop us a line. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out with us today. And as I always say, live better, do better, be better, and happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta.
Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. 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 Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDAholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDAholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.